Oscar Pistorius,
Oscar Pistorius.
Oscar Pistorius.
Oscar Pistorius.
Born on November 22, 1986 in Johannesburg, South Africa, Oscar Leonard Carl Pistorius, also known as Oscar Pistorius, was a boy born without fibulas in both legs, a rare condition called fibular hemimelia. At just 11 months old, the doctors made the life-altering decision to amputate both of his legs below the knee. Despite his condition, instead of holding him back, that challenge became the very thing that shaped his legacy. Known as the Blade Runner for the curved carbon fiber prosthetic blade he used to sprint, Oscar Pistorius stunned the world by dominating the Paralympic Games, winning 6 gold medals between 2004 and 2012. Oscar Pistorius became a Paralympic gold medalist and made history at the 2012 Olympics as the first double amputee to compete against able-bodied athletes. He was a global inspiration, a hero. But on Valentine's Day 2013, everything changed. The name Oscar Pistorius would make headlines again, this time not for the gold medals, but for the fatal shooting of his girlfriend, Reeva Steenkamp. Oscar Pistorius shot and killed his girlfriend, Reeva Steenkamp, inside his home. What actually was going on? This is the chronology of the Oscar Pistorius case. It was Valentine's Day. The couple, Oscar Pistorius and his girlfriend, Reeva Steenkamp, was in their bedroom. Oscar was watching television in bed while Reeva was doing yoga. Sometimes around 10 p.m., they both fall asleep. In the early hours of 14 February 2013, around 3 a.m., Oscar woke up due to the heat and humidity. Without his prosthetic legs on, he went to the balcony and brought the fan in. He also closed the window, the curtain, and the blinds to try to cool the room down. While doing this, he heard a noise coming from the bathroom. He thought an intruder broke into his house through the bathroom window. He took his 9mm gun from under his bed. Without his prosthetic legs on, he walked to the bathroom. The tranquility of a high-security estate in Silverwood Country Estate, Pretoria, was shattered by the sound of gunfire. Inside the luxurious home of South African Olympic athlete Oscar Pistorius, 4 gunshots rang out, fired through a locked bedroom door. The shooter was none other than Oscar himself, a 26-year-old Olympic athlete and international sports icon. Behind that door was the victim, tragically, was his girlfriend, 29-year-old Reeva Steenkamp, a well-known model, television presenter, and qualified law graduate. Reeva had been standing behind the closed toilet door when the shots were fired. 3 of the hollow point bullets struck her, 1 in the head, 1 in the arm, and 1 in the hip. She collapsed in a pool of blood on the bathroom floor. Pistorius broke down the door with a cricket bat, carried her downstairs, and called for help while sobbing uncontrollably. When paramedics and police arrived, the scene was chaotic. Reeva was pronounced dead. Pistorius, dressed in a bloody pair of shorts, was visibly shaken and in tears. He told the authorities he believed an intruder had broken into his home through the bathroom window, and in a state of fear, he fired without checking whether Reeva was still in bed. But almost immediately, doubts began to surface. Neighbors reported hearing raised voices and argument before the gunshots. Reeva's overnight bag, her phone, and a pair of slippers were found in the bedroom, suggesting she had been awake and not just a silent presence in bed. Investigators also noted that the layout of the home made it highly unlikely that Pistorius couldn't have seen her absence from the bed. The question emerged, was this a tragic case of mistaken identity or something much darker? Just 1 day later, on 15 February 2013, Oscar Pistorius was formally arrested and charged with murder. The charge stunned the world. This wasn't just any athlete. This was the Blade Runner, a double amputee who had made history at the 2012 London Olympics. As news of the shooting spread across South Africa and around the world, the image of Pistorius as a national hero began to fracture. Within hours, one of the most sensational criminal cases in modern history had begun.
Moving to the next part, I will explain about the blood pattern analysis. So the first one, this video appears to show a wooden cricket bat with visible bloodstains taken from the Oscar Pistorius case evidence. So the first thing that we can see is the impact pattern. So on the wooden cricket bat, we can see it is the medium velocity impact spatter, because the smaller, more randomly distributed round stains indicate impact spatter like produced when a blood source was struck with force. This suggests a blunt force trauma event, which is consistent with claims that the bat may have been used to strike a door or a person. Then, there are areas of elongated or smeared stains, especially along the middle right portion, suggesting blood came into contact with the bat and was then dragged or wiped. This may occur when the bat is moved through a bloody area, or if the bat was used to strike or push a bleeding individual or object. So the last thing that we can see on the wooden cricket bat, there is a few of isolated circular stain on the bottom left that may represent the passive drips where the blood fell directly onto the surface due to the gravity. This video shows the bathroom area and also the toilet bowl that also contain blood pattern that may be as the evidence. So for the blood stain in the toilet bowl, we can see the blood patterns from elongated spines, streaks and pool area, especially the concentrated near the hinge area of the seat. There is blood spatter on the bowl and inside the seat rim with trays running downward, suggesting gravity flow and movement. So there is also transfer patterns, which maybe there is possible transfer or smear patterns on the underside of the seat, indicates that a bloody hand, body part or object may be touched the toilet after or during the bleeding. The image appears that the blood stain in the bathroom overview, which is the crime scene layout. So the first one we can see there is the blood pool and smeared near the toilet bowl, and also a trail of blood stained across the floor with various drips, pooling and swipe stains. There is also passive drops due to the gravity-driven blood drips, swipe patterns, bloods that crack across the surface, likely by a limb or clothing, and also transfer stains from contact with an object or surface. This photo likely shows the final moments or collapse points of the victim. The blood trail from the toilet toward the sink suggests movement while injured. The damaged door implies forceful entry or an attempt to break in, likely with the bed shown in the early image. The last one is the blood on the walls. We can see there is high velocity impact spatters, which the small mist-like droplets on the wall are indicative of high velocity impact spatters, consistent with gunshot wounds. These stains result when a bullet enters or exits the body, creating a fine spray of blood driven by the bullet's energy. This pattern supports that Riva was shot while inside the cubicle, and the force of impact caused blood to project outward and strike the wall. Some of blood on the upper wall and above the toilet could be blood spatter, which blood ejected in the direction opposite of the bullet pass. This would occur if Oscar fired from outside the cubicle through the door while Riva was close to the inside wall or toilet. Some of the vertical traces or rents on the wall may indicate projected blood resulting from arterial bleeding or movement while bleeding. So the gravity-driven drips or smears on the wall may also result from contact with her body or hair if she brushed against it post-injury.
On 14 February 2013, Oscar Pistorius has shot and killed his girlfriend Riva Stinkum in his home. The forensic autopsy was crucial in constructing the events and understanding what had happened between them that night. The autopsy was conducted by pathologist Professor Kurt Seidman, who described the injuries in detail during the trial. Riva Stinkum was shot 4 times through a locked bathroom door. 3 of the bullets struck her on right hip, right arm, and also her head. The first shot was fired through the lower panel of the door, causing the bullet to hit Riva's right hip. As a result, her hip bone was broke and caused severe bleeding. This wound has immobilized her lower body. Prof. Seidman explained that a person could transport weight onto the opposite limb and stand only on one leg, but the probabilities were that the injured person would become immediately unstable. The second shot was fired slightly higher than the first shot. The second bullet misses Riva and struck onto the wall behind her. After being struck by the first bullet, Riva fell backward onto a magazine rack inside the toilet cubicle. The third shot was fired through the door and hit Riva's right arm, causing her bone to break and passes through her hand, which she raised in a defensive posture. She was trying to protect her head. The last bullet strikes Riva in the head, causing catastrophic brain injury and multiple skull fractures. Because of the shot, Riva was likely instantly fatal. Professor Seidman described the head wound as immediately incapacitating injury. It means that a person sustaining a wound of that nature would be almost immediately incapable of voluntary action of any kind. On the other hand, the damage to the brain causing Riva to have minimal blood in her airways. This suggested that Riva probably did not breathe for more than few seconds after sustaining the head wound. Ballistic expert Captain Christian Mangena testified that Riva was standing and facing the door during the first shot. All of the shots were fired from a distance of at least 60 centimeters and not more than 3 meters outside of the bathroom door. The ammunition used in this case is a black Talon hollow point bullet, which is made by the US-based firm Winchester. It is designed to open up, flatten out, and mushroom when striking human tissue. The usual result is it folds out like the petal of flowers. They were specifically designed by the manufacturer to have very sharp jack eyes. The functions are to expand on impact and cause maximal damage to the tissue. From forensic insights, first, pathologists found that Riva had eaten within 2 hours before her death. This statement is contradicted from Victoria's claim that they had gone to bed several hours before the incident. Secondly, each of the 3 main wounds could have been fatal on their own. The last one is the graphic nature of the injuries and the destructive force of the bullets caused Pistorius to vomit in the court as the evidence was described.
Next, I want to explain about court ruling of Oscar Pistorius cases. Oscar Pistorius was ultimately charged and convicted under South African law, specifically for murder under Section 51 of the Criminal Law Amendment Act and Section 102(1)(a) of the Firearms Act. The first charge for Oscar is murder under Section 51 of the Criminal Law Amendment Act because he was convicted of murder. This section states that a person convicted of murder must be sentenced to a minimum of 15 years imprisonment if it is a first offense. Argument that makes Oscar charged under this section are first, application of lawless eventualities, foresight and reckless acceptance of the risk fulfill the legal requirement of lawless eventualities, which constitutes intent for murder under South African law. Second, premeditation and recklessness. Prosecutors argue that Oscar intentionally fired 4 shots through the door, putting on his protesting leg and walking to the bathroom deliberately. The second charge for Oscar is Section 102(1)(a) of the Firearms Act. This section states that a person has been convicted of any offense involving the negligent or intentionally handling or use of a firearm in a manner that endangers the safety of others. Relation this section to the Oscar case are: first, he was convicted of murder by using a firearm. Second, he was also found guilty in a separate related incident. He was discharging a firearm in a public place at a restaurant in 2013. Because of this, National Commissioner of Police has ground under Section 102(1)(a). He will declare Oscar unfit to possess firearm. Second, revoke his firearm casings. In this case, Oscar fired 4 shots through a locked bathroom door, claiming himself mistook Riva for an intruder. Forensic experts use blood pattern analysis (BPA) to help reconstruct the events that lead to the death of Riva Steenkamp. Other than that, BPA can corroborate Oscar's statement and post-mortem findings to show that the shots were fired through the bathroom door, consistent with the Oscar claim that he thought an intruder was inside. How blood pattern analysis changed Oscar's claim? First, BPA indicates that after the first shot, Riva collapsed backward into a sitting position and raised her arm defensively before being shot again. This suggests that she was aware and reacting to the shooting, contradicted Oscar claim that he fired rapidly and panicked without realizing who behind the door. Second, the blood spatter and bullet trajectory evidence support the prosecution argument that Oscar fired multiple shots with a pause between them. This makes the inconsistent with a mistake identity shooting in a moment of panic. Third, forensic reconstruction implied Oscar was likely standing at the door without prosthetic head and fired knowingly into a confined space. This will undetermine the claim that he unaware of the risk to whoever was behind the door. Since there were no direct witness to the shooting, BPA provided objective physical evidence that helped the court with the credibility of Oscar's statement against the prosecution case. How the discovery of BPA influenced the court decision to increase the sentences against Oscar. First, by establishing the victim's position and defensive reaction to BPA, the court could infer Oscar's intent under the legal doctrine of lawless eventuality, that he foresee the possibility of causing death and reconquer himself to it. Second, this forensic evidence strengthened the prosecution case that the killing was intentional, leading the Supreme Court of Appeal to overturn the initial culpable homicide conviction and impose a murder conviction which carries a minimum 15 years sentence under South African law. The court generally regard BPA as expert testimony that can significantly aid in understanding the circumstance of a crime, provided the analysis is elaborate and credible.